Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. We're coming at you guys with another breaking news video as Brandon Inniss, the five-star wide receiver out of the state of Florida, has committed to Ohio State. Y'all know as a Michigan fan, I'm getting a little tired of making these videos, but I have to call it as I see it. Ohio State is doing a phenomenal job at recruiting that wide receiver position, recruiting in general, specifically at the wide receiver position. Before we get into the player and what this means for the program, I do want to just thank you guys for all the support you guys have shown the channel. Even if you are Ohio State fans, it is still fun to talk college football, and I appreciate all the support you guys have shown. Now, Brandon Inniss is a guy that is a very interesting prospect because he was thrusted in his junior year. He was thrusted into playing quarterback. And they kind of used him as like a wildcat kind of guy, making plays with his feet, running the football, which I think is a massive skill coming to the new era of college football where it's full of those quick hitters, getting the football in space to your wide receivers quickly. Yards after the catch is a growing skill for a wide receiver. It's possibly the most important skill outside of separation. So, one, can you create separation? Two, can you create after the catch? Brandon Inniss, a guy who pretty much had to play the wildcat quarterback spot for his team simply because he was the best athlete at his school, is going to be a really, really good skill. When you watch his highlights, this dude is phenomenal at the catch point. There was this certain plays where the quarterback would just blindly say, Brandon Inniss got to be down there somewhere, throws it up, and of course, Brandon Inniss is coming down with the ball. He's also, as I said, very, very good after the catch. And for the Ohio State program, we talked about it last year with Carnell Tate. Again, the second five-star recruit committed to Ohio State in the last 24 hours at the wide receiver position. It's going to be very interesting how they keep all this talent in the program. Now, for the most part, Ohio State has done a phenomenal job keeping all this young wide receiver talent together. Now, we saw one guy get away in Jamison Williams, and he went and did his thing at Alabama. But at large, I mean, Jackson Smith-Njigba kind of waited his turn next to Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. You have guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Abuka, and a guy like Julian Fleming, who is a top 5 player in the country, the number 1 wide receiver in his recruiting class, hasn't even gotten much burn yet in his Ohio State career, and he is staying around. So Brian Hartline, Ryan Day, and all that offensive staff are doing a phenomenal job keeping their players from leaving the portal. And to be honest, they just trust the process. You know, if you stay in that Ohio State program and you do your job and you keep developing, you will be a NFL draft pick. They have a proven track record. And quite frankly, they're getting to that place where Alabama was a couple of years, and still are, that Alabama was where, hey, you're committing to Alabama because you know they're best preparing you to be an NFL caliber player in the future, even if you don't start in your first or second year because that team is so talented. And getting that message through to the recruits is massive, and that's clearly what Brian Hartline, Ryan Day, and the Ohio State staff is doing. Hey, you come to Ohio State, you might not play as a true freshman, even though you're a top 20 guy in the country. You're going to have to wait your turn because we have a lot of talented guys. But if you trust the process, you're patient, in 3 to 4 years, you are going to be an NFL draft pick. They have proven that the last couple of years. And I mean, as much as I hate to say it, in 2 or 3 years, you could even say it now, Ohio State might be considered wide receiver U. I mean, the amount of talent that they're pumping out, and you look to this roster right now, Olave and Wilson just went as first-round NFL draft picks. Jackson Smith-Njigba, again, if you guys check out our wide receiver ranks, I have him as my number 1 wide receiver heading to that 2023 NFL draft. He'll be a first-round pick. You have guys like Emeka Abuka and Marvin Harrison Jr., who are looking like they're on their way to being a top draft pick as well. And then a guy like Julian Fleming, who, again, that's the best example of how they are keeping these guys at the program. And Julian Fleming, ideally for him, he has a breakout year in 2022. And so that'll do it for our video. But again, this is a very, very good hit for Brandon Inniss. And if you are a 16, 17, 18-year-old high school recruit who's one of the best wide receivers in the country, it's hard to make a case that you shouldn't go to Ohio State. Not only because you're going to be surrounded by some of the best coaching staff around, but you're going to be surrounded by some of the best wide receivers in the room. And no doubt, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, those veteran guys, did a great job molding Jackson Smith-Njigba, Marvin Harrison Jr., Julian Fleming, and Emeka Egbuka into being the wide receiver prospects they are. I hate to say it, but Ohio State's just getting it done on the recruiting trail, and that's a video. Appreciate you guys again for checking us out. And if you guys do like talking college football, even if you're Buckeye fans, we're talking a lot of Big Ten football. We can be friends sometimes when we're talking football. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.